Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's cryptocurrency update for February 28, 2022. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a valued premium member. Let's have a look at the trends of the cryptocurrency charts. We're not going to delve into the Elliott wave. We're simply going to determine what are the trends doing, and we're going to look at some of the technical analysis based on technical indicators. How are they setting up? No Elliott wave. I'll go over the Elliott wave count on Wednesday, as well as on the bigger picture, because on Wednesday, the monthly chart is of course complete because today is the last day of February, believe it or not. And then we can have a better assessment of what are the long-term trends doing, because the monthly chart is very suited for long-term trends. The weekly chart is better suited for intermediate term trends, and the daily chart for short term. You want to go very short term, you have to go hourly and that type of stuff. Everything that has a resolution less than a day. So I'm going to just simply go over all the cryptocurrencies I'm going to cover, from Cardano all the way to Solana. All right, that is all going to be captured. This is Cardano. And yes, I'll still cover it. I'm just not going to cover it as much anymore. And you can see we've been in a downtrend ever since the September all-time highs. Nothing has happened. We have had one spike above the 50-day moving average, a second spike above the 50-day moving average. Back here in January, I thought if we can get the spike higher, we'll get a good, nice resolution to the upside. I was wrong, unfortunately. Again, I'm not infallible. I'm not a god. I simply set parameters, and this parameter didn't hold. And look where we are now. As again, we went much lower. What do we need to have to get a little better idea that the trend is reversing? It is that we need to get back above the Ichimoku cloud. In this case, above about 1.3. If we get back above the Ichimoku cloud, we'll be above the 10, the 20, and the 50-day moving average. And then we can start targeting the 200-day moving average. Note the 200-day moving average is sloping down, so this is still a 100% bear market. Note where the 200-day is versus the 50-day, the 20, and the 10. So you don't even have to plot price. You can see the trend is down with the Ichimoku cloud. Price has not been above the Ichimoku cloud pretty much since October last year. It tried twice, arguably 3 times, to get above it and completely rejected. So this is resistance, loud and clear. The 50-day apparently can give a false signal, so I want to see price above the 50-day and the cloud. Then I think we have a better signal for starting to attack the 200-day moving average. So the traffic light here on the left-hand side of the screen is still predominantly red. So we have no signs of a reversal yet in place for Cardano. Moving on to Avalanche. This is the price chart of Avalanche, and instead of closing prices, I use the candlesticks, so you kind of see, of course, the intraday's highs and lows. And here on the right-hand side is Avalanche current price action for today in yellow, and it is trying to, oopsies, what went on here? It is trying to hold the 200-day moving average. You can see how many times it really has been whipsawing around the 200-day moving average in January, and again here in February. So it's not a guarantee that if you use a 200-day moving average for your buying and selling decisions, that you will always get just simple one-time clean entry and exit signals and just have to sit on your hands. Since it's a daily moving average, you have to check this every single day. Now look at what Avalanche is doing. It is still in the cloud. It is trying to get back above these moving averages. I think it is actually still below the 10-day moving average. No, it's actually not. That is, let's see here, possibly the 20-day moving average. So it's still below the 20-day moving average. So that one needs to be cleared. So Avalanche still has a little bit to go before we can say, okay, get back in a new uptrend. So that would be above 90. That is for me, sorry, it's not my, it's for me, the cutoff. I want to see it above 90. Okay, very, very clear. So no trend change just yet, but it's trying. You can really see how it's holding the 200-day and the cloud. And here, for example, you can see some negative divergence in money flow. Money flow is an indicator that tells you if money is pouring into an asset class or it's being taken out. Here you can see in August last year, a lot of money was being poured into Avalanche. And look what you got, continued upside. You do get a little bit of a short-term downside because at these levels here, everybody's been buying, so we need to get rid of some excess buying. And then eventually all this money that's sloshing around will find its way further at higher prices. You can see the same here in February last year. You get a strong pullback, but still continued. So it doesn't mean you only get a short-term pullback. It depends also where you are in the wave count, right? So this was likely wave 1, wave 2, and then we get probably, or this is 3 and 4 and 5. I have to look at the long-term count, but it just shows you that eventually we do get a much stronger uptrend, as long as money is available. Let's look at Binance Coin. Okay, Binance Coin is also trying to get back above the 10-day moving average, but it's done that many times, so it's just an initial signal. What is important here, and this is where the bulls now need to capitalize on. If they fail to capitalize on these positive divergences, I'm going to point out, I think it's an utter failure on a time frame that could be very detrimental for these cryptocurrencies. Look here, between January and now, price made lower lows. Okay, this is closing basis. It's the dotted line that is price. These are simply closing prices. I'm sure intraday we even made lower lows, but we're just going to take the noise away. And you can see the relative strength indicator on a 14-day moving average time frame has been making higher highs. So that's good. The same here for the MACD. That is good. The same here for money flow. That is also good. So what we now want to see is for Binance Coin to break back above the cloud. And I want to see it for now above, let's say here, 410, somewhere around there to about 450. One of the two, but clearly we need to get back above these levels. Okay, these are very critical. If we get back above for about 410, we're also back above the 50-day moving average, which hasn't happened since December last year. So that's also a good sign. So this is as good as it gets for the bulls. If they don't pound on the table now, I'm not so sure about the long-term perspective for these cryptocurrencies. Moving on to Bitcoin. So this is a very comprehensive chart with a lot of buy-sell indicators that you can use to your advantage. Let's go back a little bit in time. The May to July decline versus here. You see, this is positive divergence setting up, and you can see it can take a while for it to materialize. I also need, of course, to point it out here. So we have here positive divergence and here. So the RSI 5 did not make lower lows, neither did money flow. I'm going to take the full stochastic maybe down one notch, but just to show you that it can take time, but it shows you that eventually this will kick into gear. So where are we now? Now we also have slight positive divergence developing. You see this, right? Slight positive divergence. Intraday, I believe Bitcoin almost did the same low as in January, so that looks good as well. So here as well, positive divergence. So this starts to look really good. The bulls really need to capitalize on this setup. This is as good can ever get. Okay, we have a strong rally in the cryptocurrencies today, 10% up. That is fantastic. I think it also shows, despite all the bad news that currently goes around the globe with the conflict between the Ukraine and Russia, which is very sad, and it shows there is a risk-on mentality. If anything, these are the most risky assets one could own, cryptocurrencies. Why? Because they run very strongly and they crater even faster. Right? Bulls take the stairs, bears take the elevator down. And in this case, the elevator is like they just cut the cable and just let it crash. That's cryptocurrencies. So that is a really good sign for, I think, the market environment overall. So we are honestly starting to see a risk-on environment despite all the bad news that's out there. I can tell you, please do not listen to the news to interpret what the markets are going to do next. Listen to the market. News just wants to tell you a certain story. They want to sell you something. Don't listen to it regarding understanding the markets. The rest is something else, but regarding understanding the markets, listen to what the markets have to say, and Elliott wave, trend charts, all those things tell you that. This is what price tells you. Price has taken all the information available around the globe from all the news outlets, everything what's around there, all the facts, all the non-facts, all the information, all the misinformation, everything is already baked into price every single second and minute. And price will tell you if it likes it or not. And currently, Bitcoin is up 10%. Okay, it's quite contrary to what some news is saying. For example, China has now completely banned, I believe, Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies at all. But they've been at it ever since cryptocurrencies have been going live, and it has done zero to price. So it is not relevant, right? So tune it out and look at the charts. We're back above the 10, the 50, and the 20, and I want to see it back above the clouds at about 42,500. All right, so that's going to be the cutoff. We're going to keep an eye on it. If that happens, I'll be very happy. Why would I be very happy? Because Bitcoin has not been above the cloud ever since December. It's tried to get back above the 50 once, and it's trying again. So that was not the best of indicators to tell us the trend has changed. And let's see if we can get above all these short-term moving averages and the cloud. That'd be great. Ethereum. How is Ethereum doing? Ethereum is running quite nicely as well, up 7%. Okay, still only back above the 10-day moving average. It's not even above the 20, it's not even above the 50, and it's not even above the cloud. Okay, also here, I want to see price move above the cloud, which is somewhere around here. I would say somewhere around 3,100, 3,000, somewhere around there. Depends a little bit how you interpret this, but that looks to be a pretty good level for it to break higher, somewhere around there. Okay, that will mean Ethereum has gotten above all its short to intermediate term moving averages. Besides, we have tentative positive divergence. We did not make a lower low on closing basis, almost on intraday basis, but you can see how the indicators are setting up compared to what we've seen from November into January. This is an entirely different setup, so that is good. Again, this is a setup the bulls need to capitalize on, and if they don't, it will not be a pretty sight, because we simply keep them ignoring all the positive divergence. As usual, divergence is only divergence till it's not. So if it's not divergence anymore, that's not a good sign. This is as good as it gets. I can't repeat it often enough. Here we have Luna. So this is the daily chart of Luna. Luna here has the prices and closing prices in the dotted line and the moving averages. And here you can see what happens if the bulls capitalize on positive divergence. Luna pretty much for about a month made lows at around $50, maybe $47.5, $50. This is the blue line. Slightly lower of higher lows, but it's about the same. So this is about equal price on a closing basis. And look what we had here, green arrows. Does it remind you of something? It reminds me of all the previous charts I went over. So this is what I mean. This is as good as it gets for the bulls, and if they can capitalize on it, that'd be fantastic. Then we should see this type of market price action for all the other cryptocurrencies as well. And at the moment, of all the other ones I've so far covered, Cardano, Avalanche, Binance Coin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin looks to be leading the way, and Luna is certainly leading the way. So this is what we want to see. Massive breakout for a trend perspective. Okay, on Wednesday we'll go over the Elliott wave. And remember, I'm still looking for this larger B wave bounce. 2 weeks ago, I said we have 2 doors to go through. 5 waves up, 3 waves down, 3 waves up, 3 waves down, and probably a revisit of the January lows. And the market chose 3 waves up and a revisit of the January lows. So outcome still the same. I'm looking for a bigger bounce. And the bigger bounce is, of course, quite contrary to all the negative news that is unfortunately running around the globe and affecting us on a personal level and on a daily basis. This is Polygon or Maytag. Look here, again, positive divergence. Positive divergence means that the indicators are going higher, so to say, while price is going lower. Maytag still has some work to do. It is just above its 10-day. It's below the 200-day, the 50, and the cloud. So also here, I really want to see this little puppy go back above the cloud, which would be somewhere around this level. right? Anywhere between 185 and 201. Depends a little bit when we get towards those upper ends of the cloud in time, right? Because as you can see, the cloud moves lower, so it will be a little bit easier for Maytag to get above it. If it gets above the cloud, it will be above the 200-day, the 50-day, the traffic light will be full on green, then the trend is your friend to the upside, right? So this is a very, very simple way of assessing. Are the trends changing? And if they are, is it changing to further upside or towards further downside? And right now it's changing towards further upside. Lastly, Solana. Solana as well, look at all this positive divergence. Bulls, if you do not capitalize on it, forget about it, okay? Then I think this thing is gonna go to 20. I will give up hope on it. Again, we are still below the 50-day, the 200-day, and the cloud. We've been below the cloud for months. So we need to get back above the cloud. Again, as with all the other cryptocurrencies, good positive divergence. Lower prices, but increasing technical indicators. So Solana, time to do or die. I want to see Solana break above about 115, and then about 130, and then about here. These are the levels to watch. So clearly, if we get above 115, we'll be back above the 50-day moving average, which hasn't happened in a very long time. This is all the way back to early December. So that will be a very good sign as well. So Solana has some work to do, but again, it starts to look pretty good because we're going from full on red on the traffic light to full on green. Again, just forget price, just look at what the chart is doing and the moving averages. So this is why I am cautiously optimistic. We just need to see this follow through to the upside. We need to not fail once again. If we start failing now, I think the upside potential starts to diminish tremendously because this divergence is then completely erased off the chart, and we need to once again wait for this divergence to happen. Again, please note from the top here to the recent lows, how the MACD was behaving, how money flow was behaving, etc., and RSI, and how it's behaving currently. So it's different. It seems to be that there is a change in guard, but now we need to see follow through from a pure trend perspective. Again, on Wednesday, I'll go over the Elliott wave. Again, you know, I'm still anticipating a larger bounce. I've been biting my nails, so to say, waiting for it, but we have to be patient. That's what I said on Friday. Bigger picture and be patient, and patience will pay off. Bottom line, no Elliott wave counts today. You know my preferred wave count. As I said 2 weeks ago, I was looking for door A and door B. Door A was 5 waves up, 3 waves down. Why? That was would be the easy route to go for analyzing and projecting upside targets. And door B was only 3 waves up and then 3 waves down. That could revisit the January lows, which would cause further more headaches. Well, the further more headaches we got because we went through door B, but I still anticipate that larger B wave bounce. Now, I'm looking at the trends based on where prices in relation to important moving average, the 10-day, the 20-day, the 50-day, and the 200-day, and how these moving averages are relative to each other. Are they on top of each other or below each other? I did as well a review of the technical indicators. How are they setting up? Do we see positive divergence, no divergence, or negative divergence? Well, at first glance, it looks like we have a change in trend for most of these cryptos. They're trying to get back above the 10, the 20, the 50-day moving average. I also showed there's a lot of positive divergence, which is good. It means the technical indicators are gaining strength. But divergence is only divergence until it's not. We never hang our head on those type of divergences. Price needs to confirm it, because if this divergence fails, I think it can get pretty ugly real quick. Luna and Bitcoin appear to be front running, especially, of course, the former, which is really breaking out very nicely. And I think that can give us an idea what to expect based on all these positive divergences and this trend change. If anything, Bitcoin up 10% today shows there is an appetite for risk in the markets, believe it or not. And if it can front run, it will probably drag everything along with it. Price now needs to clear the Ichimoku clouds on essentially all of these, except Luna, which is already above it, and shows what happens when we get above it. Okay. prices for all these cryptos are still below it. They have been below this cloud for many months. So that's why it's critical to get above it. It will be a true nice signal for further upside. So it's still a bit early days, but the current reversals and 7% up in Ethereum, 10% up in Bitcoin is encouraging. And the price action fits the pattern and the Elliott wave count I outlined 2 weeks ago. So this is, believe it or not, as good as it gets, and the bulls need to capitalize on it. And on Wednesday, I'll go over the detailed Elliott wave count, maybe narrow down some of the upside targets, review the bigger picture charts, all that good stuff. And with that, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being a valued premium member. Take care, trade safe. See you all on March 2nd. Bye.